Now that you know more about fills, let's do a quick activity together, and let's finish off the rest of the fills for our user interface. This background box here, this large background art box, that box doesn't have anything in it yet, but it's going to have a blurred out version of our album art. So it really doesn't matter what we fill it with, because we're going to be covering it up. But you know what? Come to think of it, I believe we're going to be reducing the opacity of that image to darken it. So let's make this black. Let's go and make this box a solid black. That's a good start there. And now this bar that runs through the middle here, that bar is going to match the color of our bar up here. And this color here doesn't really pop quite enough for me. I'm going to go ahead and change this, and if you guys want yours to match, I'm going to do 4AD 9FF for my hex code. It's a slightly brighter and more saturated blue. So if you guys want to match, do that 4AD 9FF for the hex code there. Now, I want exactly the same color down here, so I'm going to show you a trick real quick. With any shape selected, if I want to steal the color of something else, I can hit Control-C on the keyboard, and it brings me directly to my color stealing tool that we found over here on the fill. That was the one that looks like an eyedropper, but I didn't even have to click on fill. I was able to get directly to it with Control-C, so it's a very nifty shortcut. Next, let's change the gray of this bottom bar here. Let's go, and I'm going to change that to DF, DF, DF. That's going to be a lighter shade of gray. And the buttons here are going to be gradient fills. So this is a good chance for us to practice those gradient fills. They're not actually going to have color fills. So let's start with the one in the middle. The one in the middle, we're going to switch it from a color fill to a gradient fill over here on the inspector. It's going to be a linear gradient, and we want this one to be darker on the top and lighter on the bottom. That's going to give the illusion that that button is pressed in or curved in. One easy way to do that is down here we've got these arrows where we can rotate our gradient around. So we can rotate that around 180 degrees real quick. So that's looking good, except I want to lighten up this top color real quick to right about there. I ended up on C0, C0, C0. If you guys don't agree, or if you'd like yours to look different, by all means, pick a different color, pick a different shade, create a different gradient. That's A-okay. The bottom line is I want this to have the effect of being pushed in. Now with the other little buttons, I want exactly the opposite effect. And I'm going to select them both at the same time because I want to change them both at the same time. I'm going to go back to my fills, and I'm going to go to my gradient fill. And this is pretty close to where I want it, but I am, again, going to lighten up that bottom gradient color there. And now that's looking good. It's looking like they're popping out instead of being pushed in. Now these buttons don't have anything on them yet, and the interface is looking kind of sparse, but we're going to get to that soon. We're going to start putting in some of our icons and our text, both coming very soon. Next up, we're going to look at blending modes and opacity, and then we're going to be looking at shadows, blurs, and some of the other fancy styling things that you'll find over here on the inspector.